And welcome to the Oconee County Board. We'll start again. Welcome to Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, November the 28th. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Daniel Haygood to lead us in the pledge. Please stand. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Our first item of business will be to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is statements and remarks from citizens. This is for anything not on the agenda tonight. Do you have any statements or remarks from commissioners? You want to make the announcement about the public hearing coming up on Thursday, December 7th. It's going to be at 3 o'clock at the Walton County Historic Courtroom. Purpose of the meeting is to take public input from residents from Oconee and Walton County in reference to the Hard Labor Creek Reservoir Treatment Facility. Meeting will focus on presentation and discussion of the environmental information document according to the regulation requirements of the Georgia Environmental Protection Division. So that'll be on December the 7th, which is a Thursday at 3 o'clock in Walton County. First item of business will be to discuss the Heritage Park naming rights agreement. Lisa?
Good evening. I'm just here before you to discuss acceptance of a donation toward the Heritage Park Improvement Project that we have. As you all know, we have upgraded the concept plan for Heritage Park, and those plans include some upgrades toward the equestrian facilities as well as some of the mountain bike facilities primarily. The donor would like to make a donation toward that project. He is a longtime, or was a longtime resident of Oconee County. It is Wayne Norris, and he has asked that the county accept his offer of $100,000 over the course of the next 4 years. So basically $25,000 a year over the next 4 years to go toward that project. We have already received estimates of the project to build it as the current concept plan is. It is approximately a $6 to $7 million project overall. Of course, that would be phased in over time. This money would go toward that project. We've got an agreement that we would like to make between the county and Wayne and Susan Norris and their family as part of that acceptance. So that is up for y'all consideration this evening.
Any questions, please, on this item? We all right for consent agenda for approval? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Thank you. Next item is discuss a resolution for the Oconee County authorizing the Upper Oconee Water Basin Authority to submit a joint claim for settlement proceeds in the PFAS litigation. Daniel?
So all of us have heard about the forever chemicals. There's some multi-district litigation out there. It's made a claim against DuPont Chemours. And the question is, how do we submit a claim? And as it turns out, John and I had some conversations with several lawyers about this a week or two ago, that Bear Creek, or the Upper Oconee Basin Water Authority, actually has the claim because they treat the water. So this resolution would authorize the Upper Oconee Basin Water Authority to make the claim. And if they need authorization from us, this gives them that authorization. And then to go a step further, the plan is, once that money is received, Jackson and Barra and Oconee, who are the treatment partners, would share that money in probably in building additional improvements, maybe the whatever's determined at the time. But we've got the upgrade coming. So my recommendation is you approve this. As with all these kind of things, it's awfully hard to go on your own. And this gives us a good way to see that the county gets benefit from those settlements.
Any questions for Daniel on this? Be all right for consent? Thank you. Any public comment? Our next item will be the first quarter financial update. Listen.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here to present the first quarter financial update for our fiscal year 2024. And this takes us through September the 30th of 2023. And we have a presentation for you. As that pulls up, I'll just kind of highlight the items that we'll be talking about, include some of the major funds of the government, looking at the general fund, revenues and expenditures, capital revenue, rather expenditures and projects, sales tax revenues and projects, along with our water resources enterprise fund revenue and expenses as well. Okay. So we'll start off by looking at the general fund revenues. See, current quarter collections are 3.8 million, which are 10.03% collected as a percentage of the amended budget, which is on target for what we would anticipate collecting for first quarter. A lot of our revenues that we receive aren't necessarily cyclical, but they're annual. And so a lot of those come in during the second quarter. So 10% is not an unusual percentage to see during that first quarter. Looking at a bit of detail, we have the revenues by classifications and the year-to-date collections and percentage as compared to budget. Taxes at 8%, that category includes our local option sales tax, as well as property taxes collected in the second quarter and insurance premium taxes collected in the second quarter, which is the reason for it being just 8%. Of note as well, intergovernmental is listed here at 7%. That is the category where we receive our LMIG grant funds that also come in during the second quarter. We do already have some of the second quarter numbers, and so they appear to be on par with budgets. I don't anticipate any shortfalls in collections in those areas. You also see the last two items, other financing sources, report sale of assets. So we have some vehicle disposals that occurred earlier in the fiscal year than typical. So those are 98% collected to budget, as well as investment income. This is highly collected because it was conservatively budgeted. However, we still find ourselves in an interest rate environment that allowed us to collect those revenues quickly. In expenditures, we are 18.7% spent in the first quarter at 7.3 million, which again is where I would anticipate. There are some of things that we wait until later in the year to use, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, some capital purchases, just to ensure that unexpected occurrences don't happen that require those funds. So far we're doing well. And we have those also displayed for you by the departments. So law enforcement and jail here are a good example of some equipment purchases that they don't make initially in the first quarter. And a lot of things are still in process of purchasing in the first quarter and procurement. Juvenile court at 1% is related to an annual cost share payment that doesn't occur until second quarter. And the district attorney at 7% due to an annual allocation from the general fund that provides grant matches in support of the victim services program. Typically occurs later in the year when needed. And the final listing of the remainder of the departments. I keep saying second quarter. Second quarter is going to have a lot to report. But elections, the first election does occur in the second quarter. So they're spent to date so far is 11%. Public Works will contain a portion of our paving projects and some transportations projects that have not occurred yet. And public safety contains an annual allocation to the E911 fund that doesn't happen until the end of the year. So outside of these items, the percent spent is on track with what we would anticipate. So these are the budgeted capital items, the once a year type purchases that aren't cyclical. You can see some of them have started in process and some of them are still pending. IT call manager upgrade, I believe is just starting to take off. Jail controls and parks equipment, those items have been procured and are in process of occurring, just not spent yet. And we have a public works infrastructure amount available, that has not been used. And then the vehicles have been ordered. So leaving the general fund and looking at capital fund, multi-year projects. As you approve projects, a lot of times you'll hear us request that the project approval be for the life of the project, so that these projects can continue on across fiscal years up to the approved contract amount. So the amounts that you see here are the amounts that as of July 1 were rolled into the next fiscal year. So these projects crossed years and continued on. Most of them are complete. Snows Mill Roundabout and Ray's Church Roundabout. These amounts represent some design services that are still in process, along with Union Church's signalization, which is also still in process. Looking at sales taxes, our local option sales tax, which is part of the general fund, has increased over prior year in the first quarter. The months that you see here listed are the collection dates. So we've increased 14%, 14.5% over prior year, and are currently 25% to budget. Special purpose local option sales tax is accounted for in a separate fund. It also has increased over prior year, currently at 13.01% for first quarter, at 40% of budget. T-SPOS is brand new. So without comparing that to prior year, we've collected 2.7 million in revenues in the first quarter that we didn't have at all this time last year. And the T-SPOS became effective April 1st of 2023. So it'll be late in 2024 before we have comparisons, but we are 26% to budget with the T-SPOS. So looking at what we're doing with those revenues, SPOS projects. The first item, historic property improvements, is a 2015 SPOS project, which is currently in process. And the remaining items are SPOS 2021 projects, all of which are in process, with the exception of water and sewer infrastructure amount that's allocated to a project that hasn't taken place yet. So in process includes building improvements, fire pumper truck, fire equipment, and a transportation plan. And T-SPOS projects include part of our paving allocation for the year, which has been procured and awarded. I'm just waiting for that paving to start, and other related services to transportation maintenance. And looking at our water resources, which is one of our enterprise funds, 26.7% revenues collected to budget for the first quarter, which is right on target. Expenses of 2.6 compared to the budget presented of 37 million, 7.25% collected. And what's important to know here is that this original budget of 15 million includes a multi-year project that rolled into it from prior year at the Cost Creek facility of $20 million. So I like to kind of pull that piece out and show you the various components so that you can see operationally that they are also on target with budget. So you see here that capital of 22 million is 3.89% spent for the year. But in operational services, you can see we're hovering around 17, some 12 to 17%. So collectively, if I pull out that capital and depreciation, which only occurs at year end, operationally, 15.3% of the budget has been spent for first quarter. Note here as well, you don't see it in the slides, but I think it's important to mention in a financial update. And the first quarter is also when we close the issuance of the Walton County Water and Sewer Authority revenue bonds. that issued debt of 12.4 million that will be repaid from this fund's debt services. So currently you see the debt service budget of 4.2 million. In the future, that will also contain the new debt that was closed in the first quarter. And also with that, we did pay off debt in the first quarter as well. The 2012 bond for water resources revenue bonds is also it's been paid in full. All right, so we have a capital listing. This is the original budget for the Water Resources Department. Most of these are design and engineering budgets for projects that are in the initial phases of planning or getting off the ground. So you can see which ones are in process, not started, or in the initial planning phases. And in addition to that, we have the multi-year projects that rolled over into FY24 again. These are 7-1 balances that rolled into the budget. The 20 million for Calls Creek and 700,000 for Daniels Bridge Force Main. Of note as well, while some of these projects are covered by ratepayers, some of these projects are also covered in SPOS funds and through GFA loan funding as well. So that concludes our update. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from Melissa?
I have one, Melissa, how's the audit process coming?
Yes, so we have a final draft and a final copy of our audit. Our auditors are, well, our main auditor is prepared to come next Tuesday and to go over the results of the audit. So the process is complete. It hasn't been submitted yet. We have until December 31st, but likely after he comes and presents that to you all, answers any questions, and we'll be ready to submit.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's going along okay.
Yes, sir, we're on track.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item is discuss the abandonment of Hillsborough Road. Daniel?
You should have all gotten an email this afternoon that showed you the section of Hillsborough Road as it is located in North High Shoals. The city of North High Shoals has indicated by resolution their willingness to accept this road. So this is a odd and bizarre process, but what we actually have to do is abandon it now so that it will become the property of North High Shoals. So what the board would need to do is declare that it is in the best interest of the public that the road be abandoned. And then once that is done, Holly and I will be sure that the appropriate ads and notices get sent to adjoining property owners and the ad run in the paper. And then we'll come back for the actual public hearing and the formal abandonment of the property. Should be at the January meeting.
All right, for consent agenda for next meeting, or you need a vote tonight?
Yeah, we can do it for the consent agenda.
Everybody good with consent? Yep. Any public comment on this item? Next item is discuss the ground lease agreements with Prime Tower Development. Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Over the years, we received several citizens expressing concerns about cell service in Oconee County. And we have had some conversations in the past about some potential tower providers, especially at OVP Park. We identified Prime Tower Development has approached us about putting towers at our Rankin Road collection site and OVP. The Rankin Road collection site tower leased area agreement would be located to the back, right outside of the gated area on the old roadbed. And then the one at Oconee Veterans Park would be across from the maintenance facility toward the back part of the site. These would provide a significant amount of additional coverage over what we currently have, especially with the existing tower at Butler's Crossing no longer functional. It's creating some issues as far as the cell service. So these are agreements for lease agreements with Prime Tower. It would be for one primary, which would be T-Mobile, along with 3 additional carriers that would go on each tower. And it would allow also the public safety radio to be located on each of these as well. Some key components, these are 199-foot tall towers. It's $100 initial lease period. This is the part where they have to go through all the FCC regulations, propagation maps, all the other federal requirements to it. And then ultimately, they'd pay the county a lease of $17,400 a year for each of the sites. And for the 5-year term, and then an additional 50 years after that. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Commissioner Lewis?
Nope.
We'll leave this as a separate item for the next meeting as well. Take any additional comment that may be with these two items. Do we have any comment tonight on these two items, on the two locations for the cell towers? Next item is discuss the annexation of the Thomas property to the city of Watkinsville.
The city of Watkinsville has taken appropriate action to annex about 20 acres of the Thomas Farm property that y'all all know because it's been in the paper. You've seen all the information on it. But they would like to annex the 20 acres that's not in the city currently into the city. And they're required by current law to notify us, and we have the right to object if there's some public safety, health, and welfare kind of objections we might make. Everything looks to be in proper order, and they're just waiting on our action to consent.
Any questions on that? We are for consent agenda for next.
Mark, hold on.
Yeah, he doesn't own it anymore. So.
Oh, that's right. You don't have a conflict anymore.
No conflict.
Just checking.
Any public discussion or public comment? Next item is discuss the 2024 alcohol license renewals.
For convenience store request, 24 renewals for restaurants, 12 renewals for wholesalers, for a total of 55 in 2024. All are complete aside from Trader Joe's, which is pending an updated RAS training for their agent. I have been in touch with the attorney's firm who handles theirs, and they are working on getting that person trained before the next meeting. So the request is to approve all of these renewals and with the Trader Joe's when contingent upon that training being completed. Happy to answer any questions.
Have any questions? We are for consent agenda for these items.
Yes.
Do we have any public comment? Next time is discuss the Board of Commissioners meeting schedule for 2024. Want to do that one, Holly?
A proposed list of dates for next year's meeting schedule. It includes the agenda setting meetings, regular meetings, town hall meetings, and the state of the county meeting. And the request is to approve these dates if no one has conflicts.
I reviewed any issues? Good. All right, for consent agenda. Any public comment at this time? Next time will be to review the vice chairman's schedule for 2024 through 2027.
Thank you. That one too is in your packet. Commissioner Mark Thomas would be the 2024 vice chair and everyone else rotating back. Request is to approve this new schedule.
Any questions on vice chair schedule? We all right for consent? Good. All right, we do need an executive session to discuss personnel and land acquisition
Legal matters.
and legal matters.
Motion to go into executive session, discuss land acquisition, personal matters, and litigation.
Second. Have a motion second to go in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We need a motion to go back in regular session.
So moved.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Saxon.
Motion adjourned.
Second. We're adjourned. Thank you.